Hello and welcome back to another video where I go through all the games that I played in every month of 2021 because I can't come up with a clever title because I'm lazy. This week we're doing August and we have 5 games if I can remember them. We have Zanki Zero, Last Beginning, Momodora, Reverie, Under the Moonlight, Serial Cleaner, The Blind Man, and Lego City Undercover. So, let's get on to the first game, shall we? So, the first game we're going to talk about is Zanki Zero, Last Beginning. I'm going to open up a can of worms here. I have quite a lot to say about Zanki Zero. So first things first, and what caught my eye was the plot, where it's basically 8 people who age in 13 days and then die, and then reborn again, and it's the only 8 people left on humanity. And I thought that's interesting, but what's even more interesting is that this was made by, I think, the same creators behind Danganronpa. And Danganronpa is like one of the most well-known visual novel series, so I thought, Danganronpa is interesting, surely this will be interesting. It certainly is, but not for the right reasons. In fact, this isn't really that much of a visual novel, it's more of a dungeon crawler, really. And I'm not the biggest fan of dungeon crawlers, honestly. I mean, that's just me, maybe. But, anyway, it looks good, it certainly looks good. In fact, the character models in this, they're some of the best in a game I've practically ever seen, and it looks good, it sounds good, but it's kind of, not disappointing, it's underwhelming. We have all of this promise, we have all of these interesting ideas, but I don't think they use their fullest potential. I even have a list, written on my hand of things I want to discuss. For example, there are 2 characters on there called Sho and Mirai, and they're basically kind of like the comic relief of the game, but they're not all that funny, honestly, which is kind of the point of comic relief. Also, they're blatantly a rip-off of Monokuma from, again, Danganronpa, which I think this was basically just marketed off the high of Danganronpa. Personally, I mean, I don't really know, I didn't look at the marketing and whatnot, but what else? Also, the whole aspect of each character is supposed to represent a sin. We have envy, lust, gluttony, all that, and then we have original sin. Personally, I never got up to because every character has a dungeon, and every dungeon is a level. I never got up to the 6th dungeon, which was revolving around the character that embodied lust, and I just never got past that point because I didn't really want to progress. I didn't think it was going to be that interesting. I thought it was going to be at first, and that's why I got on to Dungeon 6, but it wasn't hitting it for me, and I kind of felt a bit uncomfortable. Not for the intended reasons. There's quite a few bits of body horror there, which I kind of like because, well, I'm a sick fuck. But there's also a few bits, because particularly the whole gimmick of these characters die and they can be cloned, and they can be cloned as children. But here's the thing, it kind of levies its way around uncomfortable territory. I can't find the right words. It's basically bordering on the lines of some pedophilic undertones, but despite talking a lot, I think this is the longest I've done on a segment for one of these entire videos, but even then, I don't think I've covered the surface of it. If you want a more detailed explanation, go check out the Fourthalizer's video on Zanki Zero. I think it's called something along the lines of Why I Hate Zanki Zero. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's one of the first things to show up when you type in Zanki Zero. But anyways, enough about that. Zanki Zero Last Beginning looks good, and it's interesting, but for all the wrong reasons. And we're not going to waste any more time because you've wasted a lot already. Let's get on to the next game. Next up, we have Momodora, Reverie Under the Moonlight, or Reverie, I'm not too sure about it. Now, in contrast with the previous game that we talked about, this one is going to be a shorter one. So, it certainly looks interesting, because, you have this 16-bit quasi-platformer, I guess, with combat. I'm not too sure on the specifics, but it looks interesting. It's certainly got a I guess, medieval style to it, but it's sort of refined as well. I could be just talking nonsense here, but in terms of quality, it's good, but I can't really say much more. I know this is like a prequel to a video game series, I guess the Momodora series, and I'd say, a bit far with it, because I went through most of the stages that you see in the trailer here, and the boss battles themselves were fairly unique, because there are boss battles in here, and, they're unique, they're fun to play with, and really, that's all I can say about Momodora. It's fun, it's unique to play with. I didn't finish all of it, but if the time comes, I maybe will finish it. As I said before, this is a very short one, but yeah, those are my thoughts on Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. Sorry it's so short, but let's get on to the next game. The next game we have is Serial Cleaner. Serial Cleaner is fairly interesting because it has its whole 70s feel to it. I forgot what I was saying back then, but it's sort of a top-down stealth simulator in a sense, like as you can see from the gameplay, where you have to dispose of bodies, and not just dispose of them, but put them into different hiding spots or different places to dump them, and also you're gonna have to clean blood and collect evidence. Now, as I said before, it's just a top-down stealth game, I guess. In terms of gameplay, it's fairly fun, every single level has some challenge to it, and it really forces you to just remember, where the bodies are. Also, no two levels are alike, and in fact, in some cases, the placement of the bodies can actually change, which adds some variety and some challenge, because you're obviously wondering, where is the safest spot to drop this body off, where do I make sure I get away from the sights of my enemies, and all that. But, you know what? I do like it, and the soundtrack it's pretty good, Well, I mean, I guess the better way to say is it's alright, to me. It sounds good, but I don't think it's anything I would really listen to, aside from the intro theme, because that slaps. But yeah, aside from that, Serial Cleaner is pretty fun to play, and there's not much else to say about it, and let's just get on to the next game. Up next, we have The Quiet Man. What you just heard was me banging my head against the wall, trying to forget playing this game. Oh god, alright. I know there are worse things out there, but I've not played them. But I'm just saying right now, I am pretty confident that The Quiet Man might just be the worst game I've ever played. Like, even if you're just checking out to see, oh, it can't be that bad. No, it is that bad. And you know what? I'm very glad people share that same sentiment. Like, we have other YouTubers like Rabbid Luigi or Angry Joe sharing the same opinion as me and as others, because okay, so let's explain. So, in this game, you play as the Quiet Man, a deaf person, and that's fairly interesting, and that's not the weirdest plot I've ever heard. But here's the thing, for the first run of the story, because apparently, if you play it a second time, you get the full story, but in the first run of the story, you hear from the perspective of the protagonist, the said Quiet Man. And you know what? They're not boring. They're not intriguing. Like, even if I did receive, like, the proper context and whatnot, I don't think I'd ever be interested. Like, obviously we have, like, this whole kidnapping thing with, like, a man in a bird mask, and it seems jarring because, this is fairly interesting. There's some fairly interesting stuff, but because I don't really care about it, and because I've given no reason to care, and I just don't know what the fuck is happening, I'm not interested. Like, also, there's like this weird subplot where the girl who gets kidnapped looks like the protagonist's mother. I think that's what it is, and his mother was shot and whatnot. And what is this, like some kind of weird Oedipus complex or something? I don't know. You know, I don't know. But enough about the story and whatnot. How's the gameplay itself? Awful. It's a standard beat 'em up, except they do it worse, you know? And also sometimes, like, mainly for the gameplay, they'll go into 3D and it looks interesting, you know? It looks fairly as you can see here, it looks, well, kind of. It kind of resembles the you know, live action segments, but you know, something just feels off about it. Like, even when in combat, it's just the camera just zooms in and the camera just doesn't really work, really. And also, like, for the story, you know, why not have it all in live action? You know, put it in live action and whatnot. Oh god, like, even if it looks interesting, don't. Just alright, hear me. Don't play The Quiet Man. And thankfully, that's all I have to say about it. Now, let's finally end this video on what I can say to be a more positive game. And the final game that we'll be talking about this month is LEGO City Undercover. Now, this is a change of pace, because we went from the worst game that I played all year to arguably one of the best games I played all year. You know, despite its very kid-friendly atmosphere and of course it being a LEGO game, I'll be damned, LEGO City Undercover is really goddamn fun to play with. I think the best way I can describe it is a kid-friendly GTA. Let me explain. So, obviously you got this whole big overworld thing, and, you know, you've also got the cop aspect of the whole thing, and for some reason, with the LEGO theme, it just blends itself in, and it kind of creates its own unique identity, because, you know, with other LEGO games, there's always an IP, like, you got like, what, LEGO Batman, Marvel, DC, Incredibles for some reason, but now this is just mainly based on the LEGO City IP, really, and that just leads in the way for a lot of LEGO references, a lot of old themes to be called back to, and I think that's really creative, you know, also considering that this is, you know, a LEGO game, there's always going to be some charm to it, and of course, there is charm to it, and it's really fucking funny at times. Like, obviously, it's sometimes hit or miss, but I will say, most times it will hit. Because, I'll be damned, I've said it before, but LEGO City Undercover is really goddamn fun. I can't recommend it enough. Like, I haven't really played a single LEGO game in my life, but from, if any of these are in the same quality as LEGO City Undercover, I'll be damned, I will buy them. And that is the end of all the games that I've played in August. So, tune in next month, where I'll go through the games in September, and hopefully, they'll be a bit better. So, bye bye.